Socialism is dead from the perspective of someone who considers himself a socialist. From the perspective of someone who thinks that socialism was a spectacularly important and positive development in human history, but who also believes we need to be sober about the fact that it no longer exists, that it is buried beneath the ground and is never ever coming back. Socialism died for a number of reasons, but primarily it died because it abandoned its core principles and its core spirit. In essence, socialism committed suicide. And if you consider the great gains of socialism, the great insights that were made by socialism, you will quite quickly see that none of those insights exist today. And they especially don't exist amongst political parties that describe themselves as socialist. They, more than anyone, have jettisoned the insights of socialism. I want to run through what I consider to be three of the most important insights of socialism and show that none of those insights is taken seriously today. Firstly, socialism argued that the problems facing mankind were social in nature. Problems such as hunger, unemployment, these were fundamentally social problems caused by the way in which society was organised, and therefore they were susceptible to social solutions. And this was a really important breakthrough, because socialists were self-consciously rejecting the old idea that the problems facing mankind were caused by nature or by human greed. Before socialism, priests and politicians argued that the reason some people went hungry was because of nature's limits, because there wasn't enough stuff to go around. Or it was because of human greed and decadence. It was because some rich people were so busy getting fat on lamb chops that they didn't have time, they didn't care if other people went hungry. But then socialism came along and said, no, mankind's problems are not natural, nor are they caused by individual immorality. They are social, so let's fix them. That idea has been completely abandoned, especially by those who claim to be socialists. Today, with the rise and rise of environmentalism, the idea that evil mankind is using up all of Mother Nature's resources, we can see the return of the naturalist explanation for humanity's problems. And with all the banker bashing that we have seen during this recession, the never-ending attacks on champagne-drinking bankers, we can see the return of the narrow moralistic idea that human avarice is to blame for mankind's problems. Socialism's argument that our problems are social rather than natural or moralistic no longer exists. Secondly, socialism argued that human beings were capable of determining their own destinies, of running their own lives, without requiring the guidance of a king or a lord or a state. Socialism believed in human agency, in creating the conditions in which the human potential could flourish. But in recent decades, socialism has made itself completely subservient to the state. Socialists and just about everyone else have lost faith in human agency and now believe that the state has a responsibility, as we've heard, to protect people from harm, to save people from poverty, and to make society more fair and more enlightened. You can see this in the current debates about the welfare state. Modern socialists seem to believe that without state charity, ordinary people will shrivel up and die. They don't even have faith in the ability of under 25s to pay their own rent, to survive without housing benefit, never mind believing that they can govern their own lives and potentially transform the society in which they live. Today, the state is seen as the only agency of change, and in the process, human beings' potential is being straitjacketed rather than unleashed. And thirdly, socialism believed that only by creating a world of plenty,
Well, can't you just say that socialism has evolved to meet a more modern society?
I don't think it's evolved, I think it's died. I think if you jettison every principle you once held dear to, then you can't say you're evolving, you're going backwards. And I think what's happened is that we are moving back to pre-socialist ideas. And the third thing that socialism believed is that it was only by creating a world of plenty, by producing more things and more comfort, that mankind could really be free. Free from need and free from desperation. So Sylvia Pankhurst, one of the great British socialists, said, "Socialism means plenty for all. We do not preach a gospel of want and scarcity, but of abundance." That belief is now also dead. You would never hear a modern-day leftist demanding more growth, more production, more stuff. In fact, the left is now more hostile than anyone else to the idea of abundance. It moans about evil supermarkets. It moans about ordinary people's dumb desires to be rich, about the pollution caused by progress, and so on. Today, what passes for socialism doesn't call for abundance, it calls for us all to be eco-friendly, to make, do, and mend. Socialism was great, it was daring, it was radical, it was aspirational, but it is no more. Today, our societies and the people who call themselves socialists are hostile to the socialist ideals of human independence and economic abundance.